Hi everyone, it's Michelle here. A few days ago, I uploaded a video showing you how to make these washi tape bows. So today I thought I would put them to work on a card using some stamps from the Alleyway Stamps. So I pulled out this floral teal bow, which was one of my favorites, and also a stamp set called Branching Out. And I really wanted to put some of the supplies I have on hand to use along with these stamps. So I pulled out this sheet from Chickanitty, which has a bunch of 3x4 papers that are used a lot for Project Life, but since I don't really do Project Life anymore, I just cut a bunch of them out, and I want to layer them to just create some kind of layering elements on my card. So some of them have words that I don't need on my card, and I'm just keeping those in the background just so I can just see the colors but not really the elements. But I like the one on the front because it has some kind of design elements that I can incorporate into my card that actually work with the design and are not irrelevant. So the way I'm layering them up here will create a good focal point for the image that I'm going to use as a stamp. And I'm just picking up the layers and taping this down. This is just what I like to do to make sure all my layers stay in place exactly the way I like them. So this way I have this really easily created element for my card, and you can use this with really whatever papers you have. And I just think it's a great way to use up supplies that you may not be using. So I pulled out the little rabbit and the heart stamp from this stamp set, and I also pulled out two acetate letters. I think they're acetate, I'm not really sure, but they're kind of like translucent and they're from Heidi Swapp. So here's a package here to show you in case you're wondering how it comes. So I'm mounting the rabbit and the heart onto my stamp block. And I'm going to be stamping this in my Favorite Things Hybrid black ink because I'll be coloring this in with Copic markers. And even though I'm coloring this in, I'm stamping it straight onto this pattern paper. It has a subtle like polka dot background, but I actually think this is going to be really interesting with this stamp, just to give it a little bit of texture and interest. So I'm stamping it directly on this instead of, say, stamping it onto a white cardstock and cutting it out. So in the end, you'll see how this looks, and if you don't like the look of the textured pattern paper, you can always just cut it out of some plain white cardstock. So now I'm going to really quickly color this image with my Copic markers. It really just took me a few minutes. It was super fast. And since there's some subtle pattern on the rabbit, I really just added in some areas where there would be shadow, and then I blended that in with my colorless blender just so it's a very light shade of gray. So that was super simple. So now I'm going to attach these two letters that will make up my simple sentiment. I love that they're the perfect size that matches along with this rabbit. And since these are kind of translucent, it's really hard to use an adhesive that doesn't show through. So I'm just going to go with something a little different and add some interest here with a tiny attacher. So this goes pretty easily through the stickers, and I think it's just an interesting little design element that's different from what you would normally do. So I'm just picking a few places to attach those letters and hold them in place. And you really don't need too many of them. It's okay to have some of the edges sticking up. And now I'm going to add the washi tape bow that I pulled out earlier. I think it'll go perfect in this little bottom area, and it kind of covers up the corner where the layers kind of converge. I don't know why I like to cover that up, but I just thought it would be a good place for this bow. And I'm just going to leave that there for a little bit before I adhere it because I wanted to bring out a selection of papers and cardstocks to have as my background layer because I thought the white was just a little too boring for this fun image. So I pulled out a few different selections, and you'll see how I just hold the top layer in place and slide the cardstock under just to see how everything looks. And all of these cardstocks that I pulled out are from Paper Tray Ink. And I pulled out colors that match with the colors that I already used. And this is a great thing when you are using papers from a collection like the sheet I showed you in the beginning because you have a color scheme that's already decided for you and you can just match all your supplies to this. So in the end, I went with this bright teal color because I thought it was different enough from the layers that it would stand out, and it also matched with the washi tape bow, which I really wanted to highlight. So I'm just going to set aside some of my other supplies for now, and I'm going to trim down this piece of cardstock to be 4¼ by 5½ to be the right size for the front of my card base. If you want, you can just have your entire card base be teal and just cut out a 4¼ by 8½ sheet, but I'm going to adhere this to a white card base just because I find it's easier to write inside when I have a white card base rather than a colored card base. So I'm going to adhere this washi tape bow, which is pretty easy to do with my tape runner. And again, since I have some foam squares inside this washi tape bow, it doesn't flatten too much when I'm running the tape runner over it. And then I'm also adhering all of the layers on top of this base. And that finishes off this card. It was super easy to put together with all of these supplies that I pulled out that are coordinating, and I just think it's really fun to use what you have to create a really simple card like this. And here are some more close-up shots of the card. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe to the Alleyway Stamps and my YouTube channel if you want to see more crafting tutorials. By the way, if you wanted to see how I made that washi tape bow, I have that on screen here and you can just click through to go to that tutorial. You can also find more information on the products I use at the blogs listed below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.